And it's really this like redefining invitation to say like, hey, success for me right now looks like staying home with my baby. Success for me right now looks like hitting the brake and trusting that I know where the gas pedal is. Success for me right now looks like showing up in big ways and inspiring my children. Like there's so many different seasons. And I feel like when I look at my life, even from when I met you, I was like turning down all kinds of things so that I could just be home.
Hey everyone, this is episode number 87 of the Mom Talks with Christa podcast. I hope you're having an excellent week so far. It is crazy over here on our side of things, so I hope your life is just as busy and exciting and a little chaotic as ours, in a good way, of course. So I just want to update you guys on kind of some different things that are going on, some achievements, some exciting things. But of course, first, if you're looking for the episode with Jenna Kutcher, this is it, guys. I'm so excited. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, or a long minute, but either way, we're going to get there. But I'm so excited for this episode. Can't believe it's here. Can't believe it really happened. And yeah, we're going to get to the good stuff. But I am just so grateful and thankful. I want to talk about our Facebook group. We have hit 28,000 members. What? My mind is blown. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, I highly recommend you join. It's our new mom breastfeeding and more support group by Mommy Knows Best. And when I took it over almost 4 years ago, we had 150 members. So to say it's grown a lot is maybe an understatement, but it's just a really amazing community. And I've just seen people within the community blossom and grow so much. And I know I've grown just through managing and being a part of the community. We do everything we can, myself and the moderators, to make sure it's a safe space where people can feel heard, safe, and connected. Those are the big key things, because so many groups out there, you kind of feel like a small speck, right? You don't feel appreciated or supported, or you're worried to post because someone's going to jump down your throat because you do something differently than them. And so we do our best to really navigate a group that size that's rapidly growing and try to manage it so it stays healthy, it stays supportive, and it stays like this beautiful growing community. So I'm just so grateful, and I want to say thank you to everyone that's in the community that has made it what it is. I cannot do it without you guys, and for that, I'm just so grateful. It's just so cool to see the support. So if you are a part of that community, or you're not, you should join it. But if you are, thank you so much for being a part of it. I couldn't do without the moderators we have either. It's just really cool. Okay, and I want to talk to you guys about a couple dates that are coming up next, important things that you can attend to. I always like to connect with you guys on multiple platforms if possible. So upcoming next is our Facebook room, going along with the Facebook group, and that is July 6th, 11 a.m. Central. So that's a great time just to connect with other people in the group face to face. I know it's scary. It sounds scary. It scares me sometimes. You're vulnerable, you're right there, but you're able to come, turn the camera off if you want, and just sit in and listen. Moms bring their babies sometimes, or whatever makes sense for them. It's a great time to connect. You don't have to stay the whole time. You can come in for 5 minutes and leave. So that's up next, July 6th. And then we have the Peanut Pod. That's our bi-weekly get together we have on the Peanut app in my group called MomTalks with Christa. And that is at 1 p.m. Central on July 7th. So other ways to connect. We never want to leave you hanging. And so I kind of always say in the Facebook group and the Peanut Pod, I never want to leave you hanging. I never want you to feel like you have to come in and then that's all you get. Like, this is a community. We want to support you continually throughout your motherhood journey. It's for your tribe, right? We're here for you. So I hope you guys will join me in one of those. We have some really great discussions, and they leave me feeling so connected to you guys afterwards. And a lot of times I get messages from people after saying like, thanks for doing this. Totally having a bad day, but it was awesome to connect with other moms. So it was cool. Okay, our June giveaway on Instagram is ending very soon. By the time this podcast comes out, it will be ending in 2 days. So it's ending in 2 days. So head over to Mommy Knows Best Instagram, and we are picking one random winner to win $100 worth of Mommy Knows Best products. Guys, that's freaking awesome. So all I have to do is like and comment the post throughout the month of June. Mommy Knows Best Instagram. We want your feedback. Want to hear what you have to say, and someone will win $100 of product, your choice. And then I just want you to think as June comes to an end, which first, let's take a pause. How is June almost over? How is it about to be over? This year has flown by. We're looking at July 1st is this Friday. The year is halfway over. 2022 is halfway over. So I just want you to absorb that. And as we enter a new month, I want to challenge you to think about what you want for this month. It could be a tangible thing. It could be a goal, or it could be a feeling. Maybe you just want to feel more energetic. Maybe you want to feel more positive. Maybe you want to feel more uplifting. Maybe there is a particular goal you have for yourself or your family. But from now, okay, let's say end of June, early July, to the end of July, if you were to look back on this month, what would you want to be proud of yourself for? It's kind of using that visualization. It really helps to have that goal kind of setting, and not that scary goal setting that's like, if you don't hit this and you're not a good person, or you're not striving, you're not growing. No. We don't want any of that. We want to think more of like, what do you visualize for yourself? Not what anyone else is telling you to visualize or telling you to be. What do you visualize for yourself? That could just be keeping peace of mind. Maybe you've been really stressed out lately and very overwhelmed, and all you want is just peace of mind. Or you want to work on just your reactions. Maybe you've been lashing out a little bit because you're stressed, and you just want to work on your responses. Maybe you want to take up meditation and just allow yourself to meditate each morning. So ask yourself, what do I want this month? What is my goal for myself? I recently talked in a peanut pod about the importance of checking in with yourself every day, even if it's only for a couple minutes, because it really allows us to step outside of our autopilot for a moment, right? So how many of us wake up, we walk down the hall the same way, we go to the bathroom at the same time, we make our coffee at the same time, we go sit down, we go wake up our baby, all these different things that we do automatically without actually thinking or switching it up. Maybe, today I'm not going to make coffee right away. I'm actually going to drink water first, or I'm going to wait to wake up my baby and have them wake up on their own. Whatever it is, switching up little things. I'm not recommending you, completely throw your routine on its head, but switching up little things and seeing how you feel. Asking yourself and checking in, allowing us to break out of that autopilot and face the reality of our emotions. Okay, I know that sounds really scary. I know it does. Facing your emotions, right? But it doesn't have to be. When it is scary is when we're not used to doing it, or when we go a long time without doing it, and we're going in that autopilot, or we're like, I'm fine, I'm good. Yep, this is me, I'm good, right? And so when we start regularly checking in with ourselves, maybe it's just when we first wake up, we get out of bed, we stretch, and we go, how do I feel right now? Put your hand on your heart. Maybe take a deep breath. Okay. I feel a little better than yesterday. Maybe you don't know why yet. Okay, that's how I feel. That's you just taking a minute just to check in with yourself. So the more we regularly do that, the less scary it is, because it's us getting to know ourselves kind of on a different level, and we become more comfortable with expressing ourselves in that way. So it's just kind of a Kind of a cool thing that I want you guys to kind of start doing so that by the end of the month, you're like, oh, I checked in with myself. I feel more in tune, more in line with myself. Because even on those days that we're not feeling our best, maybe we're like, oh, I feel like a 3 out of 10 today. That's okay. It's allowing us to accept those days, accept those bad days, and know that bad days are going to come. But we're also going to see the pattern of, you know what? But then we also have days that are 9s and 10s. So it's accepting those emotions the way they are. And so the more we regularly check in, we'll feel more connected. And I talk about this more in my upcoming solo pod on July 27th. So mark your calendars for that one. I'm actually going to play you a segment that I did for my last peanut pod where we talked about coping when things get tough. And we had such a good discussion. Of course, I don't play anything from people talking, just my talking about coping and steps you can take to heal and how you can cope that's in a way that's good and healthy for you. But anyways, I could talk about that forever. So July 27th, tune in for that one. We're going to play a good clip from that. But this leads into today's interview with Jenna Kutcher. We talk all about her new book, How Are You Really?, which was officially released yesterday. I'm so excited because this means that it will hopefully be on my doorstep tomorrow, unless it's like the 2-day or 1-day shipping where it might already be on my doorstep as I'm speaking to you right now, which would be crazy cool because I cannot wait to read it. And I talk a little bit more about that in the interview. You'll hear why I am so excited to read her book. But if you're not familiar with Jenna Kutcher, take this as your sign to look her up and see the amazing work she does. You will not be disappointed. She truly gave me hope in a time that I was feeling very lost. And so it was such a joy to be able to connect with her and talk with her and just feel her sunshine. Like, honestly, she's like a ray of sunshine anywhere she goes. And I think we could all use a little sunshine in our lives. So before I keep rambling on, because we all know I can do that, here is my amazing interview with Jenna Kutcher, and I hope you enjoy it. Bye, guys. Okay, so when people ask that question of if you could have dinner or meet with anybody, who would it be? Well, that's today's guest for me. I heard of Jenna Kutcher's podcast maybe about 5 years ago. At the time, I was at a job where I was very unhappy. I was very unfulfilled. And when I found her podcast, she kind of gave me hope and inspiration, and just her outlook on life just really changed everything for me. And it wasn't until the next year that I found this job here at Mommy Knows Best. And I actually had the opportunity to meet her 4 years ago at this event called Camp Climb. And I was so amazed by how real she was in real life. She doesn't put on a show. She doesn't act for people. What you see is what you get. And there was this such relatable feeling when you meet her. You feel like you've known her for years. And I remember the specific question during the Q&A session, someone asked, are you going to ever write a book? And her immediate response was no. And it was kind of this disappointment because I was like, oh, I would love to read her book. Well, here we are 4 years later than this event, and she is coming out with a new book called How Are You Really? And I am thrilled. I'm so excited to get my hands on the book and read it. And so I'm thrilled that I get to talk to Jenna Kutcher today, talking all about her new book, how she came to the decision to write the book, and what lessons are in there for our amazing audience here. And as a mom of 2 herself, sharing her journey of where she came from and where she is now and where she kind of plans to go in the future, I thought she was a perfect person to come speak to this audience and share with them how they can own their life and not let their life own them. So without further ado, here is my interview with the amazing Jenna Kutcher. Hi, Jenna.
Hi, Christa. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I am so excited to talk to you today. I know we're going to talk all about your new book, How Are You Really? And I just think this audience could benefit so much from you and the work you do. So, just to get started, I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember this or not. I actually
Yeah.
met you almost 4 years ago at this event called Camp Climb.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I remember this so vividly. Someone asked you the question, are
Yeah.
you ever going to write a book?
Yes. I remember. I like
Yeah.
started crying on the stage. I was like,
Yes.
I can't. I just can't.
Yes. I mean, there was so much going on. I think you were pregnant at the time. There was
Yes.
so much going on. So I'm so
Yeah.
curious, what happened in those moments or in the
Yeah.
last, 4 years where you were like, you know what? I do want to write a book. What was that like
Yes.
shift for you?
Oh my gosh. First, I love that you were there. I was just wearing my sweatshirt from there the other
I
day
love
because it's
that
like
so
a
much.
double XL from when I was pregnant. I'm like, this is the best. But I remember that vividly. I remember the chair I was sitting in. I remember the audience. I remember the question. And I remember like the integrity I felt in that moment of being like, no, I'm not going to write a book. And it's really funny because for so much of my career, so many of my amazing friends have written books and stuff. And I look at it and I'm like, that looks like the grueling, like terrible, longest project ever. Right. And I think for a lot of us, especially for entrepreneurs or people who are like moms with ambition, it's like we are in the game of trading time and money. And so everything is kind of exchanged in this like, is it worth it to pay money to get back time? Or is it worth it to trade time to get money? And for most of my career, that was the game. It was like that. And when I finally decided to write a book, it had nothing to do with money and it had everything to do with like the story and the heart of it. And it was funny because for years I just said, no, 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 no. And then as soon as I was like, yep, I'm in, it was just like, it like poured out of me. And so it was crazy because I was actually, the whole process of writing the book was really based around my pregnancy with Quinn, first wanting to get pregnant with her and being told, you need to do this project before you get pregnant, and then being pregnant with her throughout the whole process. So it was really wild because it's like when you met me, Krista, like 4 years ago, it was like fast forward to 3 years and it was a similar situation, but a totally different mindset.
Wow, I love that. And I think there's such a powerful lesson in that whole thing
Yeah.
about you can change your mind. So I think a lot of
Yes.
times in society, we're told like, once you say something, that's the truth and you have to stick to it. And we're so scared to be like,
Yes.
well, I look like a hypocrite, look like I don't know myself. And I think that kind of ties into some of the lessons in your book about
Yeah.
controlling your life, not letting life control you. So, can you speak more on that about like these lessons in your book about kind of taking control of your life?
It's funny to me because when I really think about what message I want to spread with the book and like the heartbeat of the book, I really think about like it's not coming home to the world's definition of success. It's not these achievements or these milestones. It's like coming back to who you are and to yourself and to what success looks like for you in this season. And it's really this like redefining invitation to say like, hey, success for me right now looks like staying home with my baby. Success for me right now looks like hitting the brake and trusting that I know where the gas pedal is. Success for me right now looks like showing up in big ways and inspiring my children. Like there's so many different seasons. And I feel like when I look at my life, even from when I met you, I was like turning down all kinds of things so that I could just be home. Like we had, two pregnancy losses. It took us 3 years to have our first daughter, Coco. And when I had her, I was like, I'm going to just say no to everything. Like there's nothing more important than this. And it's really fascinating because now it's almost 4 years later and I had my second daughter and I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like I'm like ambitious. I've got the spark. I want to take my family with me. And so it's really cool. There's this story in the book about like how when we used to sign yearbooks, we would always say like, please never change. And there's this fear with change of like, if you change, will you still like me? If you change, will we still have things in common? If you change, will I still be comfortable? And I was like, if I could go back and sign all those yearbooks again, I would say like, I can't wait to watch you change. I can't wait to see who you become. And I feel like the book is really this idea of like, we are all becoming, we are evolving, we are changing. And it's up to you to come back home to yourself first. And I think that's the big invite.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because I mean, just love the thought of changing, it can be so scary,
Yes.
but you make such a good point where like we're evolving and it's okay to change our minds and it's okay
We
to kind of
should be. It's
exactly.
like being a participant in life, you know?
Yeah. It kind of goes back to that like pressure of when you're younger to like you have to know who you are when you're like 15 and it's like
Yes.
looking back it's like we're just totally different people then.
Yes. I'm still getting to know who I am and I'm 34. So
Exactly. And it makes it fun to kind of be like, who will I be next year? What's kind of
yes.
going on?
Yes.
And so, as we were kind of talking earlier about, Mommy Knows Best, we're a company about for moms navigating some of the toughest moments, as a new mom. And so I know your book offers so much encouragement. And so I'm wondering directly for these moms, what kind of
Um,
encouragement can it offer for moms that feel alone in a certain season of their lives or are always putting themselves last? And that's just kind of all they've known.
it's really interesting. So the book is broken up into three parts. And the first part is who you are really, like who is this person? Who is Christa? Who is Jenna? Who we all are. The second part is who you have and who has you. And that's the part I want to talk about because it's all about community. And I feel like, for many of us moms right now, especially moms to littles, we never got that village that people talk about when they say it takes a village because of the world and the pandemic and everything that we've been through. I think a lot of us are really lonely in that journey, whether or not we're working outside of the home or just working inside of the home. I feel like there's this level of loneliness that is more prevalent now than ever, especially for women and especially for mothers. And the part about community in my book is really about how do we like foster community, but how do we be the invitation givers and not the ones that are just waiting for someone to text or waiting for a best friend to show up or waiting. And I really think that when I look at my journey in motherhood, so much of it was done in isolation due to the situation.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, I want that village. Like, I want to surround myself with other moms. I want to be on the journey with people. One of my dear friends, Brendan Burchard, always said, like, if you reach the top of the mountain and you're all alone, you've done it wrong. And I think for a lot of us, we've been climbing the mountain alone because we've had to. But I think it's time that we start kind of putting our hands out to one another and connecting because the journey is not meant to be done in isolation. And I think that now more than ever, women are just craving that connection.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, everything you said was amazing. I think like we, as women, I feel like we're taught to kind of like be brave, like do things on your own. And, we're, competition with other people. But in reality, if we ask for help and we grow that community, I think it's so much more powerful.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Amazing. So I want to ask just one final question, and that is, you know, with the writing process, I'm sure as you're kind of refreshing your mind with different lessons and walking through, what's something you learned within this writing process that kind of surprised you, or did you have to relearn something along the way?
It's actually really related to motherhood unexpectedly, but being in the digital space, it's like you can have an idea and publish it and get feedback on it and like create it within a day, right? Like the lifespan of how we create is so different. And a book, like I basically started the book 2 years ago. It is such a long process and at times it can be really like stretching. And it was fascinating because a lot of people say like writing a book is like having a baby. And I was doing both of the things at the same time. So I always tease Quinn, like, you have a twin, it's called the book. And, kind of going through that experience at the same time. But I really learned, like, just like in pregnancy, like we need that amount of time to like prepare our hearts, prepare our minds, prepare our lives, prepare our homes for baby. So does in life, like we should be asked to have more breath between our projects, more breath with our ideas, like more breath with the creativity and like how we birth it into the world. And it was just this like really good reminder because there was times where I was like antsy and I was like, I want to just put it out there. I want to put it out there. But it was like this invitation to like slow down and refine and grow and stretch. And what was so fascinating about like the book writing process is like there's so many like rounds of edits and there's so many things. But every single time that we did something like that, it got better and better and better. So it's just this like reminder for me of like slow growth equals deep roots, and like just it's okay to like slow down and not just like throw things out into the world, but to like sit with them. And I feel like that was like really a great learning lesson in like patience and like trusting in the timing of your life. And that's been a theme in my life for everything, for motherhood, for entrepreneurship, for writing the book, is like trust in the timing. And I did that. And now it like feels so good.
Oh, that's amazing. It's cool how when we kind of go back through like our journey and stories, we're almost relearning those lessons and kind of like tweaking those lessons in our lives and how we're going to then share it with others. So
Yes.
I think that's amazing. And of course, where can everyone get your book? I know I'm so excited to read this book. It's just sounds so amazing. And anyone's familiar with you, they know the amazing tips you offer and the community you have. So where can people be a part of this?
Oh, I can't wait for you to get your hands on it. Your community is going to love it. It talks about entrepreneurship and motherhood and our struggle with fertility. And I mean, it walks through so many marriage, community. There's so many things where I'm like, these are the conversations that women are craving to be having that also they need to be having with themselves. So you can pick it up at howareyourreallybook.com, or if you just search How Are You Really wherever books are sold, you can grab your copy. And I'm just so excited that the Jenna from 4 years ago, the one that you met, has evolved into this version. And I'm just really, really, really proud of what is in those pages.
It's amazing. I'm so happy too. This is so cool. I feel like we get like an inside scoop. So
Yes. And thank you. I have to say, thank you for the work that you do. I know, like in my breastfeeding journey, and even, I mean, just the world that we find ourselves in right now with so many polarizing things and stigmas, it's like women just need to be supported and encouraged. And, I'm like, I have my pump right next to me, like ready to rock in between interviews today. And it's this juggle, but it's like the most beautiful thing. And so I just want to say, before we sign off, for you, Christa, or for any of your listeners, like if you are listening to this and you're feeling stretched thin today, which I think a lot of us are, I want to remind you that you're only feeling stretched thin because you have so much love. Like you love what you're doing, you love who you're doing it with. And so like allow yourself to be stretched, because I think that's where real growth is. And so just thank you for the work that you're doing too.
Oh, thank you. You're gonna bring tears in my eyes. That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, Jenna. It was so, so great connecting with you. And I can't wait to see your book and read your book. It's gonna be amazing.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Christa.
All right, guys, this week's Mom Tales of the Week question is, what's the worst parenting advice you've ever received? And let me tell you, this thread always goes wild in our groups, on our pages when we ask this question. And I think this kind of goes to mom shaming a lot. There's this whole perception where if you give someone advice, it's not shaming. But on the outside, when you really look at it, they kind of are in the same realm. And so this podcast, in this community here, we really believe against mom shaming and about understanding people's stories and lifting them up instead of telling them to do things differently or to do things the way you would do it. Now, of course, that's different than someone reaching out and saying like, hey, I need help with such and such. What would you do? Right? So of course, we're here to help each other and lift each other up. But we're talking here about unsolicited advice, and we got so many responses, so here we go. All right, number 1, Sonia Hernandez. My baby is 9 months and getting over a cough, and I was told to give her honey with something. I don't remember because I tuned it out, but I said no because my pediatrician said to avoid honey till she's 1. And they responded with, doctors are wrong, and there weren't doctors back in the day. Back in the day when? When weren't there doctors? We've come so far and we have like learned so much. So I'm really confused by that response. There weren't doctors back in the day. Well, there was always some kind of medical or some kind of, I don't know who would be giving her advice that didn't have a doctor. We've had doctors for a while now, so interesting. Number 2, Rose Boulan. You need to have a second one so your first one has someone to play with. If you guys follow me, you know I'm so against when people tell other people when to have children. How many to have, when to have them, how they should have them. This is such a personal and individual thing, and you are the one raising them, not the other person. So when someone tells you that, you just gotta move on through it. Number 3, star. I have a 5-day-old, and the day we left the hospital, someone told me to wake him up when we got home so I could put him on a sleep schedule. I'm not putting my day-old baby on a sleep schedule. Good for you. Again, it's like people so quickly want you to get to the next step and tell you how to do things when your baby was literally just born. I'm glad you knew to say no, because I think it can cause a lot of panic in a lot of people. Like, they're like, oh, what do I need to do? I need to do a sleep schedule right away. Like, what? Like, no. That I shouldn't be so worried about what my baby eats. If grandma, my mother-in-law, is giving it to her, it's okay. Is it? I was told this because I asked her not to give our daughter sugar and salt, which is something her pediatrician recommended. And she still tries to give it to her when she wants and will sneak it to my daughter. This I cannot understand. I've read so many stories about a caretaker or family member trying to sneak certain foods to their kids when they specifically said not to. And the thing is, like, you don't know what kind of goal they have set or why they might be doing it. And it could be a serious health issue. So, man, the lack of respect, not cool. Okay, number 5, Allison. To put some small apple chunks and maple syrup in her bottle before bed so they'll sleep all night. What? The cashier told me this at a grocery store. Is your baby sleeping through the night yet? How old is she? I said, yeah, she's sleeping pretty well. She's 3 months. Well, listen here. This is the advice they said. They really do sleep all night long. She's 3 months. You can even start doing that now. Please don't put apple chunks and maple syrup in your bottles. Not sure where that came from. Oh, wow. Okay. Number 6, Whitney. He's not getting enough breast milk. You need to give him formula. She goes to get the formula. We don't ever give it to him. This was when we just got back from the hospital. Our son was 3 days old. Oh my gosh. He is now 19 months old and I'm still breastfeeding. That's like worrisome advice, because I feel like so many people get wrong advice like that and they think like, oh my gosh, I'm not producing enough, or oh my gosh, like I shouldn't be, getting this much by this point because she did, and it's dangerous. It's really dangerous to share that kind of information. So I'm glad that you listened to your gut and you knew what was best for you. All right, number 7, Kylie. Kissing a baby on the mouth doesn't make them sick. You can't believe everything you read on the internet. Said to me after setting boundaries about no kissing on the mouth. I don't even know what I would say to that. You can't believe everything. Right, of course you can't believe everything you read on the internet, but this is something that has been proven, and that's a whole other issue. But if someone says don't kiss my baby, especially on the mouth, you better not be kissing that baby. Number 8, Lorraine. You need to think about putting her in daycare and going back to work. You can't stay home being a bum all day. Oh no, you have a college to pay for. This was from another parent. Who says that? I don't even know what to say to that. I hope this is someone that you don't have to see a lot, because again, it can cause so much pressure and making you feel like you're not enough. But you are. You are more than enough. And you know that. I can tell by your response that you knew that this was bad advice. But anyone listening, if you get advice like that, no. You know what you need to do. You know what's best for your family. Don't let anyone tell you stuff like that. Ooh, I'm getting heated for you guys. Okay. Number 9, Alexis. I hate hearing the sentence, I did it with my children and they're fine. If I don't ask for advice, don't give me your advice or opinions. Yes. And also, what don't people get about this? Don't ask me if I need help or criticize me because you think I can't do it or handle it. I am completely capable. Yes to all of that. Yes. I was just talking to someone, I think it was in one of the interviews, about the common phrase of, I did it with my kids and they're fine. You hear this a lot with older generations. A lot of times, like I've heard like, we didn't wear seatbelts growing up and you guys were fine. Okay, well, you probably didn't get in a car accident, or you probably, you know what I'm saying? There's all these different things. Or I smoked while I was pregnant and you guys turned out fine. You hear these kinds of things and it's harmful behavior. It's dangerous to say because that's almost like that comparison that you can't reach, because it's kind of like, well, they did it, so I guess I can do it. And it's kind of this unattainable thing because it's just not safe. Okay, number 10, Brittany. Don't eat peanut butter while you're pregnant or the baby will be allergic. Talking about everything you can't believe on the internet. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. Or that was a thing people say. I know that's not true. I think people say. I like to see the citation for that, please. Okay, number 11, last but not least, Crystal. Oh, this is literally just what we were talking about. I used to smoke a cigarette while holding my son, and he's fine. My mother-in-law, after we asked her not to smoke around the baby. Don't you love that? Sarcasm. For real, though, how can you even argue with someone with that mentality? There was a lot of things that we used to do back in the day and people survived. That doesn't make it okay. And we've come so far and we've grown and we've learned so much in this day and age that let's use our education and growth like as a strength and learn from it and do better. Man, that's all I got. I mean, this was, like I said, our longest thread. So if you want to go read some more or share your own, you can go to our Facebook group, the New Mom Breastfeeding and More Support Group by Mommy Knows Best on Facebook. We now have over, I think we're almost at 29,000 moms. So it's growing big. Thanks everyone that submitted your MomTales. I had so much fun reading them. And thanks for tuning in this week. And I will see you next week. Bye. Hey guys, if you found this or any episode of Mom Talks with Christa helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share it with your friends. We release new videos every single Wednesday, and our new podcast is out every single Thursday. So lots of different ways you can catch us. And of course, if you're not following us on our socials, go ahead and follow us there. We've got tons of new content for you every single day. And finally, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you're doing a great job. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.